Thank you all, and let me just say in advance, I'll be taking no questions because Secretary Schultz, a little later today, will be having a full press conference. So you can take everything up there with him. Ambassador Habib has informed me that a plan to resolve the West Beirut crisis has been agreed upon by all the parties involved. As part of this plan, the government of Lebanon has requested, and I have approved, the deployment of United States forces to Beirut as part of a multinational force. The negotiations to develop this plan have been extremely complex and have been conducted in the most arduous circumstances. At times, it was difficult to imagine how agreement could be reached, and yet it has been reached. The statesmanship and the courage of President Sarkis and his colleagues in the Lebanese government deserve special recognition, as does the magnificent work of Ambassador Habib. Phil never lost hope, and in the end, his spirit and determination carried the day, and we all owe him a debt of gratitude. The parties who made this plan possible have a special responsibility for ensuring its successful completion or implementation. I expect its terms to be carried out in good faith and in accordance with the agreed timetable, and this will require meticulous adherence to the ceasefire. Violations by any party would imperil the plan and bring renewed bloodshed and tragedy to the people of Beirut, and under no circumstances must that be allowed to happen. As you know, my agreement to include United States forces in a multinational force was essential for our success. In the days ahead, they and forces from France and Italy will be playing an important but carefully limited non-combatant role. The parties to the plan have agreed to this role and have provided assurances on the safety of our forces. Our purpose will be to assist the Lebanese armed forces in carrying out their responsibility for ensuring the departure of PLO leaders, officers, and combatants in Beirut from Lebanese territory under safe and orderly conditions. The presence of United States forces also will facilitate the restoration of the sovereignty and authority of the Lebanese government over the Beirut area. In no case will our troops stay longer than 30 days. The participation of France and Italy in this effort is further evidence of the sense of responsibility of these good friends of the United States. Successful resolution of the West Beirut crisis by responsible implementation of the plan now agreed will set the stage for the urgent international action required to restore Lebanon's full sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity, obtain the rapid withdrawal of all foreign forces from that country, and help ensure the security of northern Israel. We must also move quickly in the context of Camp David to resolve the Palestinian issue in all its aspects, as well as the other unresolved problems in the Arab-Israeli conflict. Only when all these steps are accomplished can true and lasting peace and security be achieved in the Middle East. End of statement. Thank you. I said no questions because of the press conference that's coming later, and that will be covered. And I assure you that every precaution is taken, and your questions will be answered fully by the Secretary with regard to that and to their withdrawal if there is any violation of any of the provisions that have been agreed upon.
If they're shot at, will they be withdrawn, sir, immediately?
What?
If they're shot at, will they be withdrawn immediately?
Yes. Yes.
See, the congressional leaders not want to hear.
We said no questions, please.
No, they said the Senate had to run because they were due in at 9 o'clock in their session that began. So they broke up and decided to go back on the Hill. I think they all want to go home. So do I. My fellow Americans, I'd like to talk to you today about the deep desire we all share to bring peace to Lebanon. These past several weeks have brought bitter tragedy and sorrow to all of us. The loss of even one of our splendid young Americans is an enormous price to pay. The number of dead and wounded is a terrible burden of grief for all Americans. It's unimaginably more so for the families who have lost a father, husband, a son, or a brother. Their deaths are testimony to the savage hatreds and greedy ambitions which have claimed so many innocent Lebanese lives. The human toll in Lebanon is staggering. Lebanon's losses since 1975 would be comparable to the United States losing 10 million of its citizens. What conceivable reason can there be for this wanton death and destruction? Lebanon's suffering began long before a single Marine arrived. In the early 1970s, many thousands of Palestinians entered Lebanon. Lebanon's fragile political consensus collapsed and a savage civil war broke out. The Palestinians also had a military, the armed PLO. Trained in terrorist tactics by Soviet bloc nations in Libya, the PLO joined the civil war and attacked Israeli targets, villages, and schools across the border between Lebanon and Israel. In the midst of all this, Syria was asked to intervene and stop the civil war. In the process, it occupied a large part of Lebanon. However, Syria did nothing to control terrorism against Israel's northern border. Israel decided to neutralize the PLO and in June 1982 mounted a full-scale invasion across the border. This resulted in another major round of fighting between Syria, the PLO, and Israel. Shelling and bombing pounded Beirut. Thousands more died. We negotiated a ceasefire and then joined the Multinational Force at the request of the Lebanese government to make possible the peaceful separation of the forces. This is the second time in 25 years that we have come to support the Lebanese government in restoring peace. In 1958, President Eisenhower used a bipartisan congressional resolution to send 8,000 American soldiers and Marines to Lebanon. When order was restored, our military came home. But in 1958, there were no occupying foreign armies, and there was no Soviet presence in Syria. Today, there are more than 7,000 Soviet military advisors and technicians. In September 1982, I offered a plan to bring peace to the region. It called for a just solution to the Palestinian problem, as well as a reasonable settlement of issues between the Arab states and Israel. Success in Lebanon is central to sustaining the broader peace process. We have vital interests in the Middle East which depend on peace and stability in that region. Indeed, the entire world has vital interest there. The region is central to the economic vitality of the Western world. If we fail in Lebanon, what happens to the prospects for peace, not just in Lebanon, but between Israel and her neighbors and in the entire Middle East? Once internal stability is established and withdrawal of all foreign forces is assured, the Marines will leave. But because we care about human values for ourselves, so must we be concerned when freedom, justice, and liberty are abused elsewhere. That's the moral basis which brought our Marines to Lebanon. We have acted with great restraint despite repeated provocations and murderous attacks. Our reconnaissance flights have only one purpose, and the Syrians know it: to give the greatest possible protection to our troops. We will continue to do whatever is needed to ensure the safety of our forces and our reconnaissance flights. The peace process is slow and painful, but there is progress which would not have been possible without the multinational force. Last May, with our help, the governments of Lebanon and Israel negotiated an agreement providing for the withdrawal of Israeli forces. In September, when the Israelis pulled back their forces from the Shuf Mountains near Beirut, Lebanese attempts to extend their authority into this area were met by violent opposition from forces supported by Syria. We will redouble our diplomatic efforts to promote reconciliation and achieve withdrawal of all foreign forces. At a recent meeting in Geneva, all the Lebanese parties agreed to recognize the present government as the legitimate representative of the Lebanese people. Talks have begun to broaden the base of the government and to satisfy the legitimate grievances of all the people. My special envoy, Ambassador Don Rumsfeld, has returned to the region and will continue trying to move the peace process forward on all fronts. Lebanon's agony must end. Today is the 35th anniversary of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Lebanese people are struggling for their human rights, and we call upon everyone involved to give that birthright back to the Lebanese. Until next week, thanks for listening, and God bless you.